So what we have to do, we have to add a script in the object which we want to move in the x, y and z directions. So we want to move our cube, so let's select the cube here, and in the inspector let's add component. You can see here new script option. Let's name it to the cube movement. You can name whatever you want. You can rename it to player script, movement script. I have named it to the cube movement. Click on the new script, create and add. So in the assets you can see a cube movement C# script is added. It's a empty object, empty script, sorry. And in the cube, in the inspector you will see cube movement scripts is added. Alright, it's so interesting. So we have to edit and write some code in this script. For writing the scripts, I am going to use Visual Studio Code. So let's double click it here. So the Visual Studio will be open. You can see I'm using Visual Studio 2019. You can download it from the Google. Let's go to the Google. Let me show you how you can download the Visual Studio. Search for Visual Studio. Go to the downloads. This is totally free and it is so awesome application to use. You can see free Visual Studio. I don't know why its net is not so good. Okay. So in the community you have the free download option. I have already downloaded and installed from here. If you are using Mac, download it from here. If you are using Windows, then download it from here. Okay, so when you will install and download the Visual Studio, you will able to write codes in the Unity scripts. Let's minimize the Google Chrome, and it's not responding. It happens to me all the time, so don't worry about it. It will open in some time. It will take 2-3 minutes to open. That's because I'm using low-end PC. 4 GB RAM is not so good for developing game. You can just do your work in 4 GB RAMs. You have to need 8 GB RAM if you want to develop game smoothly. You can see it's not responding. Okay, so let's wait some time. Okay, so my Visual Studio is open. Okay, so you can see there are two functions, void start and void update. Void start functions is called before the first frame update. like it is called only once when we play our game, and this update function will call per frame, like every second this will call, and the start function will only call once. Okay, so what we will have to do, we are going to add some force to the player. So if we want to add some force for only one time, we will use write the code in start function, and if we want to give the force per frame, we will write the code it in the void update function. So let's try both things. Let's uh, if we want to add a force only one time, so what we will do now, first of all we have to mention our player. All right, so let's okay, so I'm having a trouble in this screen recording. So I have what I have done is write public rigid body RB and hit the control S and go back to the cube. You can see in the cube movement scripts there is a option of RB where you have to drag the rigid body here. Now go back to the Visual Studio, and in the start function write rb dot add force, like we have to add the force in the x direction. So I have add a force in the 100 f in the x direction. I don't want to move to the y and z axis, so I have write 0 for y axis and 0 for z axis. If you want to move or add a force to the y axis, then write 0 here. In the x, you want to move to the y direction 100 f, and that's it. Hit Ctrl S, go back to Unity and hit play. You will see 100 f force will be added to the y direction. It taking some time to run. You can see a little force of 100 f is added. Because its force is too less, let's change this value to 1000. Hit Ctrl S, go back to Unity and hit play. You will see 1000 F force. Hit play and you see then 1000 F force is added to the queue. As I told you, these 1000 force is added for once because we write this code in the start function. If you want to add the force per frame, like you want to continuously force in the x or y or z axis, you have to write the code in the update function. So write rb dot add force. So I want to add a force in the x direction, so I will write 100 have. I don't want any force in the y and z axis, so I'm writing 0 0 and the y and z axis and close then the using semicolon. Now hit the Ctrl S, go back to the Unity. Now you will see this is the x direction, so the force will be add in the this directions every frame. So this will move in the x direction continuously. So hit play and you will see, and see it's moving in the x direction with some rotation. Alright, so hit F to zoom. Okay, so I think you are guys getting the knowledge how we can add force and how we can move and do the stuff with our player. We can use these two slash to comment out our code. Alright, so go back to the Unity. Now, if you want to change the shape of your cube, just go to the mesh here in the cube, just select. So, if you want to change the shape of your cube, like you want a capsule in place of the cube, just select capsule. If you want a sphere, cylinder, quad, and the plane. So, the sphere will be great. So, let's choose the sphere. Alright, sis. So, it's a sphere. Now, when we hit play, the force won't be added because we have comment out our code. It will just drop to the ground because of the gravity. Okay, if we don't use gravity here, let's see what will happen. It will not come to the ground. See, it's hanging on the air. It's not falling. That's because we are not using even gravity. When we using gravity, it's falling. All right, that's interesting. I think you guys getting my point.